Hello and welcome back everyone to the video series Decade Show on CBS that wants a little kiss of safety. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge USA Season 2 Episode 7. And from this episode we have quite a bit to go over. So let's not waste any time. Let's start off where last episode left off, and that was Wes shocking everybody by beating Dusty in the elimination. And then after his win, he decided to swap teams with Chris to go to the blue team, sending Chris to the green team. And coming back to the challenge house, Wes is wearing his brand new blue shirt, and then he wants to call a house meeting. And all he wants to tell everybody, there is no reason why that everybody should be treating him the way he's been treated, and let's just play a fair and honest game. And there's some people that really liked Wes's speech, like Alyssa S, and then there's a good handful of people that kinda will disregard what Wes has said, like Cory, like Fessel, like Cassidy, who we see Wes and Cassidy call a ceasefire because they are on the same team, they're a part of the blue team, they give a hug, but walking away, Cassidy kinda does an eye roll to the camera, and somebody else that is giving Wes an eye roll is Michaela. While unpacking his suitcase, Michaela asks if Wes is going to be moving down to the dungeon with Banana since there are at least 2 open beds. Wes says no and then asks Michaela, what's going on between us? You know, what's the big animosity that you have towards me? No details or resolution comes from this conversation, but Wes says that I did vote for her, I did send her a ball in the last episode, as well as he views Michaela as so far on the rookie side and anti-vet that she is the #1 threat to Wes, Bananas, and the rest of the vets. We move on to a moment between Tyler and Alyssa where they are doing more team bonding. This time they're talking about their big brother exes and how it just wasn't the right relationship. They weren't the right people for each other. Yeah, we can see where this is all going. And before heading to the daily challenge for this episode, we do get a moment with Michaela in the gym. She is working out. She does talk about her season 37 appearance on the challenge main season and how much she learned from that. She's reflecting on that, as well as she talks about how she wants to make her godfather, who unfortunately has passed away, proud of the way she plays this game and in life in general. When watching this moment, I really enjoyed having this moment with Michaela. I like her as a competitor. I liked her on Survivor. I wanted to see her do well on the challenge, and she's doing very well this season so far. Also, seeing this moment, I was like, this is a red alarm. I know exactly why we have this moment in this episode. She's going into this week's elimination. Like, there was no doubt about it. This is equivalent to seeing somebody in the confessional room getting a phone call from home. And at this point, I was like, that's it. Michaela is going to be going into this week's elimination. But before we can get to that, everybody dons their challenge gear, meets up with TJ in a desert gulch for this week's daily challenge called Wreck and Roll. Every team will put 2 players in their sphere, and then they're gonna have to roll around like little hamsters in a ball, or American gladiators, and they're gonna have to knock into these poles to drop 2 tires with letters on them. Once a team has all 16 tires, they have to then roll them and take them to a puzzle board and then finish a puzzle. The team that can do this the quickest will win into power and win into safety. Now, I think this was a fun daily. There was a lot of moving parts. There's strategy to it because you need 2 people in the ball that are strong enough to then knock into the towers, and then you need a system, especially if you don't have enough players to be grabbing these tires and putting them on the board. And of course, the puzzle board will need a lot of brain power. I felt like the blue team had a big advantage in the first portion of being able to grab these tires. They have so many people to grab tires, always be around Fessel and Tori who were in the ball to then, once the tires were knocked down, they could grab them easily, they could switch out and have enough people with enough gas in their tank to get these tires over to the board quickly. They could have some people just standing by the board, looking at all the letters, and then figuring out where they're gonna put everything. The one problem I thought the blue team would have is when it came to the puzzle board, that maybe there would be too many chefs in the kitchen, too many people talking at once, but that was not the case at all. The blue team was a well-oiled machine in this challenge. Now, the green team did pose a good fight. Even though they had 3 people collecting tires, they had an assembly line to get the tires over efficiently. Things looked very close at one point. That wasn't until the blue team was able to solve this puzzle, get this win. I know I didn't talk about the red team much, but they were consistently in last place. So the blue team wins. They went into power, It feels like the vets are completely in power at this point, but we move back to the challenge house. Before the nominations, we see Josh pull Fessel for a strategy conversation. Josh wants this to be a women's elimination, and he wants 2 strong women in the elimination, and not only that, he wants to knock down some of the survivor numbers. His plan is to get Chanel versus Michaela in the elimination. Fessel and the blue team needs to ensure that Michaela is the nominee on the women's side, and the men's side can be whoever the frick they want. This is exactly what happened last week with Tiffany as the pawn next to Wes. This is exactly what they're trying to figure out. Who is the pawn next to Michaela? Fessel, Josh, Tyler, Tiffany, Monty, and Cory all talk in the hallway, and they agree that Tyler should be the pawn. Tyler wants to appease everybody. He wants to stay in everybody's good graces, so he agrees that he will be the pawn standing next to Michaela, and he will trust the process. Speaking of Tiffany, we do get this moment between Tiffany, Chanel, and Alyssa where they are talking, and Tiffany talks about not feeling very self-confident in herself in the game. She feels like maybe this is the wrong game for her. She doesn't feel like she's doing well, despite being in the game almost 3 times as long as she was in season 1. She's doing well with the Secret Garden Alliance. However, when it comes to the actual challenges and the competition part, she feels like she's always behind. She feels like the weakest one in the house, which does not sit well with her because she's always been strong in every aspect of her life, but she has this vulnerable side. It was just Tiffany having a vulnerable moment, looking over and reflecting on herself and her past performances, and just being vulnerable and needing that extra support in the game, because this game is tough, both physically and mentally, and sometimes the mentally part can be way more taxing than the physical part. We move over to the nomination side where the blue team is gathered up, and Bananas decides to kick things off by putting Michaela's name out there. Soon, Tori and Wes all agree to vote for Michaela. Then we have Sebastian and Cassidy going for Tiffany, Desi putting a vote on Alyssa, and Fessel putting the nail in the coffin by voting Michaela in. Then we move over to the men's side, which again is just a pawn. We have Tori, Bananas, Cassidy, Sebastian, and Fessel all agreeing to vote for Tyler. Then you have Wes voting for Chris, and Desi voting for Monty. No surprise here, Josh gets exactly what he planned, what he wanted, with Michaela and Tyler as the nominees. Now I felt that Desi was frustrated of how the nominations and the votes went, as it seemed like she was on the wrong side of the votes at every single turn, but something else stuck out to Desi in the nomination ceremony. 3 people seemed to be protected by everybody, not just the vets, but everybody else at that table. Cory and Josh, as well as Michelle. Now this sounds the alarm for both Desi and Chanel, who are very close with Michelle, and Michelle has told them many of times that she has no other alliances in this game but with them. But then we hear from Michelle that she is actually playing with everybody in the game. She has alliances and connected with everybody in this game. Of course, she's in the survivor numbers. Then she's played a couple of times on the MTV series of The Challenge, so she knows and is in with the vets of the game. And on top of that, if she's close with Josh and Fessel, she's probably roped in with some of the Big Brother players as well. So at this point, Michelle could be the nucleus of social connections and have her web kind of going and connected with everybody in this house. The problem is, when it comes down to it, if you are found out having alliances with everybody, well, then you're looked at as having alliances with nobody. So I feel like in the coming episodes, Michelle could be in the hot seat and be put there by her own Secret Garden alliance. We then move over to the bar scene to a conversation with Wes and Bananas, who are bored. They have been bored in the challenge house. They want something to liven up the mood, and they have been watching Alyssa and Tyler flirt all around this house, and nothing has happened. No kiss, no nothing. They decide they want to speed up the process here. It's been going way too slow for way too long, so they call over Alyssa to say that they are going to use their power. They will make sure that it is a guy's day if Tyler doesn't kiss Alyssa in front of everybody in the bar. Alyssa laughs a lot. She seems to be really into it. They call Tyler over, play around with him, saying like, okay, the plan is it's supposed to be a girl's day, but we can make that switch around if you don't do exactly what we say. Tyler says, how do I keep myself safe? They tell him, you have to go over and kiss Alyssa in front of everybody in this bar right now. So Tyler laughs. He goes over to Alyssa, says, please save me. Tell me how you can save me. And then they kiss. And can I just say, after they kiss, I've never seen Bananas and Wes look this happy ever. But anyways, Alyssa and Tyler don't just make out at the bar. They take this back to the challenge house and they are making out quite a bit. With the lights on, with the lights off, they're making out. They would have probably made out for a lot longer if Monty didn't come in and wreck the vibe. Now it's time for the secret voting. We see Michelle vote for Tiffany, Monty vote for Chanel, Cory vote for Tiffany. It seems like it's going back and forth between Chanel and Tiffany. After the secret voting, we have everybody meet up with TJ at the arena where he calls out Michaela and Tyler to join him on the arena floor where there is all these big contraptions. There is 2 like Nerf hoops set up with giant poles and a bin with a ball that's really high up. This looks wild to start things off, but before we can hear what the elimination is, TJ goes to show how the votes came out. Tiffany got 2 votes, Monty got 1, Alyssa got 1, Josh got 1, Cory got 1, and Chanel got 4 votes. This looks prime for Josh's plan of Chanel versus Michaela to come to fruition. And I'm telling you, Josh is feeling good. Granted, he did get called out by Michaela. When the nominees were announced that it was Michaela and Tyler as the blue team's nominees, Michaela instantly called out Josh, being like, I knew this was you. You've been spreading my name around. You want me to go into elimination. You want me eliminated. And Josh tries to play it off, but come on now. Like, Josh is not hiding his tracks whatsoever. He wants to come off as this mastermind, but everybody knows what is going on. And I feel like Chanel definitely knows what's going on as well. She is ready to go into elimination. So many people in the house are nervous to go into an elimination against Michaela. And Chanel, I have to say, after seeing 4 votes on her, when TJ pulls the ball and then he's about to announce a name, she looks like she is primed. Like she is like, all right, let's go. I'm really liking Chanel on this season. And she is not backing down whatsoever, no matter who's in that elimination. Even if it is a friend and a Secret Garden Alliance member like Michaela. However, when TJ pulls the ball and announces a name, it is not Chanel, but it is Tiffany, who is pretty upset that she is the one going into elimination. And she is so upset that she decides to call out all the men who are lined up, saying that they are scared. Everybody always wants a Women's Day because all the men are scared to go up against each other. They don't want to face each other in elimination, and it's the people who are the most scared is the ones that are putting these plans together. Now, at one point, she claps her hands, which Josh then makes a face, and I feel like Josh takes it personally because I'm sure he clapped his hands at one of the arguments or when he called out the house, or maybe it was at the nomination ceremony for the one time the red team won into power thanks to the blue team. And so Josh decides to put his 2 cents in, and then they are arguing back and forth. TJ doesn't say anything. Normally, sometimes TJ is like, oh, keep all this drama out of here. I want to get to the elimination. But TJ was like, I'm just going to let this roll. And everybody is laughing because Tiffany is reading Josh in front of everybody. His whole thing is, don't call us out. And then he, at the end, says, you got to go do an elimination. Turn around. You got to do an elimination. So even though Josh is trying to pull the strings, he is getting called out left and right by everybody, which is just really funny. Also, I love Cory on this season because he seems to be always around the drama. And then he's loving it. He's laughing, he's joking, making faces. It's awesome. I love him on the season. But now, let's get to this week's elimination called Top Heavy. Both players will stand on a pole and then have to use momentum to swing back and forth. They have to grab a ball on one side, and then when they're going over to the other side that's close to the hoop, they have to throw the ball into the hoop. The first player to sink 10 balls into their hoop wins, stays in this game while the other player is eliminated. This elimination looks so much fun. To me, this is probably one of my favorite eliminations on the season thus far. It's a great non-physical, non-puzzle elimination. When I say non-physical, I mean like a pole wrestle or balls in where they're wrestling each other, a hall brawl. For me, I would like to see this on the main challenge series. Michaela, who was coming in as a favorite, looked to be just that. She was sinking these balls like her name was Steph Curry. Tiffany, who was struggling in this game quite a few times, also struggled on this elimination. She had a tough time swinging this thing back and forth. She couldn't make a shot at all at one point. And then it finally happened. Michaela was 7 points in. Tiffany was able to really lean down the pole, throw the ball, and score the point. And everybody cheered. It reminded me of the Washington football team during the preseason winning against the Baltimore Ravens. In a preseason game that means nothing. That stadium cheered as if they had won a playoff game, that they won the Super Bowl. And that's exactly what happened here. Tiffany gets 1 point and everybody cheers like she just won the elimination. But then Michaela made like 2 or 3 more baskets in a row and won. 10-1. Michaela won this elimination, gets to stay in the game, and Tiffany is eliminated. Now, it's just TJ and Michaela, and TJ asks Michaela, how you feeling? And Michaela's like, I feel good. I know I have some decisions to make. And she was about to like go on about how she's going to take a spot on the blue team, swap teams with Tori. However, TJ stops her in the middle of the thought and goes, wait a minute. Join back up with your team. Now we are going to a solo format. It is everyone for themselves, every man and woman for themselves. We have some people who are upset that there are no more teams, like Cassidy, who loved her blue team. And then you have people on the other side, like Chris, who was ecstatic not to be on the green team. And now he can play his game the way he wants to. And I just have a feeling that moving forward, this game is going to get extremely messy. There are no more green team lines, red team lines, blue lines, nothing. There's no more lines. The lines are arbitrary. You can make as many deals as you want. There's, I think, only going to be 2 people in power from week to week. So with that being the case, anybody is up for grabs except for 2 people, which is very, very exciting. I had a feeling that it was going to be sooner rather than later that they're going to go to a solo format. I'm super excited. I can't wait. I can't wait for the next week's episode, which actually we have to wait a full week for the next episode. No more Sunday episodes. I can't believe we have to wait a week. I was just getting used to the Sunday night episodes, and now that we're in a solo format, I wish that there was another episode this Sunday, but alas, it is only Thursday nights. I can't believe we have to wait a week, but I'm excited. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen in a solo format. But what did you think about the daily challenge? What did you think about the decision to try to get Michaela versus Chanel in the elimination together? What do you think about Tiffany leaving and now the big brother numbers just keep on dwindling and dwindling and dwindling, as well as who do you think is in major trouble now that they're going to a solo game? I almost feel like maybe Michelle is going to be caught in the hot seat here very, very soon. There is an overabundance of Survivor players. She just got found out that she is playing all sides of the house. And now with there being no teams and no real safety, if you do not win, you yourself do not win into power, I don't know. This Hopper thing could get very, very messy very, very soon in a solo format. But what do you think is going to happen? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. I'm going to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really, really soon with more Challenge USA 2 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.